All right, pay attention, because what's about to happen in 2026 is the biggest economic expansion and opportunity whiplash of our lifetime, and almost nobody is prepared for it. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, and I believe he's the IRS uh, Commissioner or Assistant Secretary or something like that. One of the most plugged in macro people in the world, obviously, the one of the leaders of the financial economic free world, quote unquote, is telling us the economy is about to accelerate in a way we haven't seen in decades. We're talking massive tax refunds apparently hitting in Q1, Q2 because of the new working families tax bill and other legislation that's been worked on, tax reforms, liquidity straight into workers' pockets. We talked about we're going to share some of it. We talked about some of the, well, first off, the national debt. I mean, this is where the debt's going. But we've talked about the stimmy checks. We've talked about the stimmy checks. We've talked about the 15-year mortgage or the 15-year car loans. We've talked about the 50-year mortgage loans. We've talked about all of the liquidity coming into the cycle in a political cycle that voters need to feel rich heading into the 2026 midterms, which is a year away. Prices, says inflation is slowing. We'll see. Depends on what measure of inflation you're using. Wages, he expects real working class wages to rise. And again, this is important because these are political actors telling you what they want you to believe. And we're going to talk about money is psychological at the end of the day. And we're going to talk about at the end, this is very, very important, but this is also laying, if not for anything, the Trump administration has been pretty out there and pretty transparent, we'll call it for lack of a better phrase, about what they're going to do and what is happening. And remember that whether it's Jay Powell at the Fed or it's Bessent or Trump, whatever's going on, because we have a political currency, political fiat dollars that are, they only exist because of hot air and confidence in them. This is the system we live in. So whether the thing is happening or not is really, it almost doesn't matter to a degree. And that's why I think that the people have to wrap their heads around. It's hot air at the end of the day. There's nothing behind it. It's all a ruse. It's a game being played. So if people are saying things enough, then you feel it. That's how humans work. This is where we've got to the game, the mass persuasion going on, right? So Scott Bessent's talking about the Boeing plants going in, the rare earth projects. You see that the new job sites are talking about popping up across the country. This is all fuel, whether it's happening or not. And that's the important part. So I don't want to get people twisted here, but this is the real twist. No one's telling you. When the government tries to fix affordability, what does it really mean? It means we're pumping liquidity, baby. And when the liquidity rises, assets explode. That means that Bitcoin, real estate, equities, everything's scarce. Gold and silver gets pushed higher while the poor middle class get wiped out again. Period. End of story. This isn't a recession story. It's a liquidity story. This goes back to Larry Lepard's book, The Big Print. The big print is coming, and it's going to come again and again and again. If we haven't learned the process over the last 15 years since the great financial crisis, then we've been living under rocks. This is a political story. And for anyone paying attention, it's an asset accumulation story. If you are holding dollars, you are making a bet. Most people, this is the mistake I made 15 years ago, thinking that saving dollars, I was going to wait for a crash to happen, or I was going to wait for something to happen. But if you are holding dollars, really at the end of the day, you are saying, I think long-term, the dollar is going to be stronger today or in the future than it is today. You are making that bet. Now, I get the optionality and I get holding dollars in the short term here and there for certain things, right? There might be, the optionality that you might have to buy in at lower prices. However, if you're living on a Bitcoin standard, then you have to spend your Bitcoin, and this is the world that Bitcoiners have to play in. The fiat world and balancing those things. If you keep putting energy into the fiat world, you just kick the can further down the road. The more you are putting your energy into that fiat world, you are giving it life. You are giving it air, and that's the world that is being suffocated by Bitcoin. And the longer we operate in that fiat world, the more air we give it, because it is psychological, which again, we're going to touch on, which is so incredibly important. We're going to touch about at this in the end in 5 or 10 minutes and why this is so important. So let's break down, again, what is happening in 2026 and why this might be the start of the next massive Bitcoin move, and how you can position yourself before the wave hits. Because again, remember, this is the end of the last part of the cycle generally, right? This time of year, Bitcoin starts to pump. It goes along with the political cycles, and it might get extended, right? It looks like 2026. Scott Bessent was just on the other day saying how this is going to be a great year, that people are going to be so happy. They're going to be so pumped up about what's happening in 2026, quarter one, quarter two. And so you have to prepare. You have to take things at their word. We talked about the things a little bit ago. This is going to be something that we are dealing with, and they say what they mean and do what they say in that regard. When it comes to, hey, we want rates down, coming out probably and bringing someone that's more dovish. These are all aspects that we have to understand and prepare ourselves for. And again, the biggest thing is zooming out. Prices, it's low right now, and people are freaking out, but this is temporary. This is the final shakeout. This is a shakeout before the fireworks really start. And I wanted to share again the Bitcoin price for anyone who isn't paying attention. I guess we'll say, here is the chart right now, that 92,000 US dollars for one Bitcoin. So again, let's zoom out. 15 years ago, there was no price for Bitcoin, and now it's $92,000 for one Bitcoin. Think about that. It had no price. Zoom out. The greatest thing about Bitcoin is that it is unconfiscatable, immutable. It's a ledger. What are a couple things that money are at the end of the day, right? Let's think about what money is. It is a container for your time and energy, a store of value. It is a unit of account, something that you can measure everything against and get an honest measurement. And it's a feedback loop. It's the best non-saleable good that we have. It's your time and energy in an abstracted form. That's what money is at the end of the day. And again, it is psychological. We need that honest ledger, that thing to use as a medium of exchange. We need an honest ledger. This is where the gold and silver bugs get things wrong. They get things wrong because they think it has to be physical, when in the world they live in, it's completely digital. So why would I be using something physical in a world that's completely digital already? My dollars are digital. This whole world, are we thinking the world's going to go backwards? Or is that what the world we're going to do? Asteroid is going to hit the Earth, and then okay, well that's great. But we're just putting more energy into the system that's going to revert right back to what gold and silver have always done, which is end up in fiat paper. So the liquidity wave, the 2026 liquidity wave, we're going to come back to the importance of the psychology and zooming out and understanding where this is actually headed, and not being the people that get shaken out. So Bessent came out, has come really, he's been out there a lot this year in saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're pumping liquidity into this bad boy. This thing is going to, we're going to pump this thing sky high. And here we go. So, he said, hey, we're going to pump this thing sky high, and you have to take the IRS commissioner. There we go. So you have to take them with what they're saying, because it is a political currency. The dollar is a political currency. So you have to understand, if that's what they're parroting, that's what is going to be happening. If they are saying, hey, things are going to be good, it generally drives things up. And how are they going to do that? Well, again, it's the liquidity cycle. And that's what is so important at the end of the day to understand. That's why Bitcoin will be the fastest horse in the race, because it is perfectly finite. It is something that doesn't, it exists because of the destruction of the cycle of the monetary system that we have. And that people always talk about this, and like we said before, no shit. This is why it exists, because governments are printing their money, their currency, into oblivion. That's why Bitcoin exists, and it's a system. It's an honest ledger, immutable, outside the control of man, rules and not rulers. That's why it is so different. It's the lifeboat off of the Titanic, completely absolved from that, and that's why, when you're voting for a new captain on the Titanic, when it's already been hit by the iceberg, that's what politics is. You're still in the Titanic. It's going down 4 hours later. It's still going to the bottom of the ocean. You can get into real estate, or, the asset class. It might be the best, but you're just the last one into the ocean. So we have Bessent telegraphing, as we'd say in hockey, telegraphing the pass. The midterm cycles are coming up ahead. We saw what happened with this tightening in what was going on, and then with the tariff games and all these things. Again, they are committed to this, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, whether we like it or not. They are committed to what they're doing, trying to onshore everything. And hey, it's a noble goal. There's a lot of countries around the world that are going to this world of trying to reshore things, and again, smart risk move and strategic move for security. But again, this takes time. It's a long-term play that's going to have to play out over a while. But again, as we see, when you're in a system built on in a house of cards, built on debt, when you are trying to do these moves in the short term, you get hammered and you lose elections. And this is why we're never able to really root out the gut rot and the things we've talked about recently. We can't do it because you get hammered so hard, and people's livelihoods are tied up in government. Again, whether it's the food programs, the SNAP programs, welfare, all the entitlements, all these things were so wrapped up into the federal government now that when you go to cut anything, people are so dependent that you can't. And then the cycle perpetuates. And that's why getting yourself out of the system, owning Bitcoin and getting into self-custody, putting your seed on your stamp seed, going and do these things is the way to fund the system peacefully over time. And the more people that understand that, the faster we will get to that world. So liquidity always finds its way into assets first, right? This is the same movie over and over again. So we have the tax refunds coming, the bills that have been passed, the different tax reforms, withholding changes, real wages rising on paper. Again, that's anyone's guess. That's what they're saying. So believe it or not, again, everyone can find statistics. You find a Robert Reich, and he's going to tell you the exact opposite. And you talk to Scott Bessent, and they say things are amazing. So again, it's hot air at the end of the day, and that's the importance of this. Real wages rising. That's what, again, they say, a manufacturing boom. They think this is all going to hit. But again, remember, a lot of this is hot air to cover up the liquidity boom that is coming. So Sailor, another thing. You see it all over social media, different areas. People, again, you see this stuff when price goes down. You start, again, it's annoying because you start having to talk about these things. And Bitcoiners, we get into these fights, sound money people, we get into all these fights. And a Sailor got about to be wiped out. Last time, he was going to be wiped out, it was going to have to go down to 1,000 or 3,000. Now it's, well, he's about to be wiped out now. And is there a coordinated sell-off between Wall Street and what's happening? Yeah, I mean, if it's your first day on the markets, you understand that there's no free markets. There's no fair markets. Again, in this system where the people close to the currency printer win, that's what Bitcoin is here to root out 98% of that. That world doesn't exist yet. We're in a fiat world where there are paper games going on. There's all kinds of shenanigans that can happen in the background to root out, blow up shorts, blow up longs, blow up people that have trades on. I mean, again, the greatest thing you can do is go watch the Jason Bourne movie or the James Bond movies. Go watch any of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, and you're going to see, I mean, Skyfall, they're talking about AI systems and getting everyone's data. That's from 15 years ago. I think it's Quantum of Solace in 2008. So again, these are 20 years ago, 15 years ago, these movies, and they're telegraphing, they're showing you what's happening in the real world. It's the bad guy in that movie is replacing the guy in not Uganda. He's in Latin America, Bolivia or something like that. And he's replacing, setting up coups, colored revolutions to put in his own guy. And these organizations are going. And then guess what? The intelligence agencies are getting a cut of a lot of these things, for the MI6 or the American intelligence agencies or something like that, right? You can't make this stuff up. The James Bourne movies, or the Jason Bourne movie, the same thing. The James Bond, the last 5 movies, watch those. It's all the things that are telegraphed and are there in hiding in plain sight. Again, these things are hidden in plain sight for a reason. And this is not hard. I love some of the people out there, whether it's the Dr. Jeff Rosses or the Joe Carlosaris or Jack Mallers, who I'm doing a show right now. Some of these people have a wonderful ethos, liberty-minded. They're brilliant minds, and you could go on and on. The Larry Lepards of the world, but to me, it's all you need to do is back out. You need to back out a little bit. This is a great book. Well, Moral Money, but also Modern Chains. Neil Flesher, great guy. We're going to interview him soon. The Invisible Shackles of Economic Slavery. He was went to the U.S. Military Academy and was an Apache pilot. So AH-64 Apache pilot, the attack helicopters that we have here in America, right? For anyone who knows, Um, check that out. In his thing, coming from a guy that's been on the inside all the way to here and now, I take his position of, oh, the macro is ridiculous. And this is the reason, as someone who is running businesses, investing for 15 years, raising money in real estate, in the stock markets, doing all these things, puts, calls, ridiculous accredited investor statuses, and having to deal with all this garbage. You realize the average person can't get ahead. This is what the beauty of Bitcoin truly is. You can get ahead. You can get a 30, 50, 60, 100% return, whatever compound annual growth rate over time. When you zoom out, I can save. More importantly, I can save and not be stolen from through inflation long term. Unlike the fiat currencies that make the poor middle class poor. And you don't have to go into these crazy worlds and learn how to be a hedge fund manager like Dr. Jeff Ross. We're not all as smart as Dr. Jeff, where a guy who's an Apache pilot, went to the U.S. Military Academy, is really incredibly smart man. Again, the macro is worthless. Trying to understand, this is what my problem with George Gammon was for a long time, and I fought with George numerous times over the years on spaces and things like that. What's the point of learning the system, giving energy to the system that's broken and bankrupt? Who cares? Defund it. And because we give more and more energy to the system, and we worry about these little things, it just prolongs it. It's the fear cycles, the media, the panic sellers, the whales accumulate, the cycle repeats. Again, Saylor's not getting wiped out. He's the biggest guy in the block, but the people panicking might. And it's media manipulation. It's Wall Street manipulation. It's media manipulation. All these things. All you have to do is buy your sats. They're on discount right now, or you have to earn in sats. And then let me get my Passport Core, the beautiful Passport Core. It feels amazing. By the way, 3 parts, the battery in there. I mean, just incredible stuff. This is as simple as it is, guys. This, trading a few $1 for this, set it up in 5-10 minutes, you have your wealth forever. This screwed me over 10 years ago because I was scared to get in. I thought I needed a wallet to have Bitcoin. I somewhat pretty tech savvy, but I was still scared to do it. And this still scares a lot of people. They don't get into Bitcoin. They keep their coins on exchanges. And this right here, spending a few minutes to make the purchase, a few minutes to put their coins in their own custody, is literally generational wealth. It's life-changing. And we get sucked into like these macro. I'm gonna spend an hour talking about the macro and just zoom out. Liquidity is building. We know that the governments have to print. We know that's what they have to do. Period. End of story. I mean, is this really that hard to figure out? No, of course not. Here's the national debt of the United States. Look what it was 20 years ago. 5 trillion, 7, 8 trillion. Now it's 38 trillion. It's gonna be 40 trillion soon. I mean, think about that. Think about where we are headed. It's incredible. So Saylor, all this stuff, it's just panic. Even if Saylor got liquidated, it doesn't even matter. Liquidity is building quietly. Just look at the debt clock, usadebtclock.org. The political cycle is pushing stimulative policy, the rate cuts, Powell probably leaving, credit expansion. They're gonna have lower rates. They have to do all these things. You can't have 30 trillion keep trying to refinance this for much longer. Again, liquidity injection everywhere. The pushing out, we're kicking the can down the road. We can't have gut rot. So we got 15-year tax or auto loans, 50-year mortgages, $2,000 stimmy checks. All these things are going to keep happening. They're going to keep building. This is going to happen more and more and more. Mike Maloney has a great series, The Hidden Secrets of Money. Incredible series. And he talks about this very thing, predicted all this 10 years ago, verbatim. We get tax rebates, we get this, student loans, cancel, all these things we canceled. 5, 6, 7 years ago, I predicted that we would start having mortgages canceled. At some point, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll start having mortgage balances canceled, all these things. And at some point, someone's going to call our bluff. Bitcoin's the only way to opt out of the system. It's the only thing. It's the only lifeboat off of the fiat Titanic. Gold and silver always reach back into that world, and we end up back on the fiat standard. You can't, because you can't move gold and silver instantaneously for final settlement. So it has to be centralized. The physicality, the beauty of it is also what makes it impossible to be global money. This is the perfect time when they want to shake you out. This is what happened. This is where the strong hands continue piling in. They keep earning in Bitcoin. They keep taking the dollars they keep earning, and then they stack sats. That's it. Stop overthinking it. Bitcoin punishes overcomplication. Cycles repeat because human psychology doesn't change. If the price volatility, the fiat price of volatility freaks you out, you don't understand it yet. You don't understand Bitcoin yet and the new monetary system we are entering. This isn't complicated. It's emotionally hard, but it is simple because it's everything. It's everything new. It's opposite. It's not inflation. It's deflation. It's a neutral money. It's not a political coerced currency. All these things are backward. The simple plan is log off, stop watching price, stop doom scrolling, stop reading panic tweets, watch people, follow people, be educated by people, read books like these, harden your conviction, modern chains, moral money, get your cold storage, get your stamp seed, educate with Bitcoin trading cards, do the simple things. Self-custody, touch grass, build your family, teach them how to do it, build community, build strong habits, your health, your faith, community, sovereignty. That's it. That's all you need. You get smarter, stronger, and more sovereign every day, and Bitcoin handles the rest. We do need to stay plugged in, though. We do need to stay, if you don't tend your garden, weeds come up around it. Nature abhors vacuum, so we do need to be careful with that. Make sure that we don't leave it unattended. Bitcoin might be able to live for 1,000 years on its own. It's off a running code, but we cannot walk away. We got to learn the lesson from the Libertarian Party. You can't just walk away and say, I'm good, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm nihilistic, not going to vote, doesn't matter. We have to vote. You have to run a node. You have to run. That's the beauty of this. Just because Saylor has a bunch of Bitcoin or Satoshi has a bunch of Bitcoin or BlackRock has a bunch of Bitcoin doesn't matter. They don't have any more say in the system than you do. They might have more Bitcoin. They might be able to buy more things, but you running a node, a simple node, an Umbrel, your Start 9, my node, I think is another one. There's, you can set up your own. There's many videos out there. You can set up your own and you become a node, a voter in the system. So be there when people are bored, people are scared. Don't get hyped in either direction. Just stack sats. That's it. This liquidity wave will reward the prepared, not the panicked. So that's all you need to do. Take care of your health. Buy your tallow soaps. Where's my soap miner? There he is. Get your soap miner, beef tallow soaps. Again, if you guys want to support the show, I appreciate a ton, helping everything we do, put out content, more content. There's going to be more and more content of what we're doing. So we're super excited about that. Check out the Bitcoin only businesses. If you have problems with them, let me know. Because again, like I said the other day, we will say whatever we want here. And we need to know who's aligned with the freedom, liberty, sovereignty ethos, period. So we appreciate you supporting this show. We appreciate, and in a second, I'm going to talk about the last thing, which is the psychological part of Bitcoin, which is really the most interesting part and the most important part of all this. So I appreciate you guys checking out the sponsors. They're incredible. And again, these are the way 5 to 10 years ago, we're finding out the Bitcoin only people and learning the Bitcoin way. Another, great group of people who are going to lead you in the right direction, help you set up your self-custody if you need help, and put it in your stamp seed, and all these people, and they all work together. A lot of these companies work together, which is a beautiful part. And again, there's not a lot of them out there, unfortunately, right now. There's more coming, more Bitcoin only, freedom-minded ethos people, but there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of BS out there. So you have to be very careful. So do your homework, verify, trust, but verify. Verify is the important part. So that's the big thing. So let's talk about the psychological aspect. This is so huge. Money is psychological, and because people believe it works, it does. The dollar has the strongest psychological backing of any system in history, but these regimes can collapse overnight. Every monetary system ends in a confidence crisis, not a math crisis. Remember that. Money is the world's most powerful mass hallucination, and Bitcoin is that first form of money that doesn't require belief in a politician. Like we said earlier, it's hot air. Political currencies, fiat currencies are hot air. It's all the narratives. And again, it's a strong narrative. The dollar has been here as long as pretty much all of us have been alive. So it's all we know. It's ingrained in our culture. But that is changing. The younger generations are not putting up with the lack of transparency and the opaqueness. They're not going to do it. I mean, look, we see these files that they're trying to release right now. All that stuff, people aren't going to stand for it anymore. The JFK stuff, like all these things we need to root out and get the gut route out of society and get the gut route that the things we haven't been able to get justice for, or we haven't been to get clarity on, or finality or closure. All these things are eating away at the soul of our country, eating away at the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. So now we have the white paper has given us the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, across the entire globe. So that's the beauty of this, and because now the walls are closing in on those that are trying to control human beings. So again, this is why the gold and silver bugs are fighting the wrong battle, like we talked about earlier. They're stuck in the past. They equate physical with real. They think value equals weight. They assume the world still functions like a local tribe bartering metal. In reality, 99% of dollars are already digital. Their whole world runs in a digital world. So where's that cognitive dissonance coming in? Yes, for thousands of years, that was the best way, gold and silver. But again, we already run in this digital landscape. Physical metals can't scale globally in real time. It's literally impossible. That's why it always reverts back to paper. Even thousands of years ago, they had referred to paper because the threat of getting whacked over the head or a wrench attack, getting your gold and silver. You can't have final settlement. So it gets centralized, and the coins and bars go into some type of bank or government. And for a locale, for some very small place or a family, maybe it works great, but it can't work in a global world unless an asteroid hits us and takes out 99% of everything on Earth. So again, this is why Bitcoin fits the younger generations. It's a transparent ledger that can't be controlled by someone. The younger generation wants transparency. They don't want opaqueness. Gold and silver that gets centralized. Now I got to believe someone again. Now I have to go trust a third party again. The younger generations are digital narratives. They trust software more than the central banks. They already live in a dematerialized world. Music, movies, network, identity. They don't want to carry rocks in a vault to store value. Bitcoin matches the psychological profile of the next 50 years. As the demographic wave shifts, the monetary preferences shift with it. Money evolves with the generation that uses it. Money is three things at once. Money is psychological. It stores belief, confidence, and social cohesion. If belief dies, the system dies, regardless of gold, paper, silicon. And two, money is a database. It keeps score. It tracks who owns what. It's a ledger of time and energy and cooperation. We need an honest ledger, though, one that can't be corrupted. And money is a container for your time and energy. It preserves the output of your life force. The question, does your container leak? Fiat leaks, it has inflation. Gold leaks slightly, has a small inflation rate. Bitcoin does not. Finite time for your finite energy. It's a perfect trade. It's the only finite asset I know of in the world. Still to this day, 10 years later, no one has been able to tell me there's another perfectly finite asset equal to your finite time. I don't know. I don't know of any that have the Lindy effect, that have the network effect, everything that Bitcoin does. There's nothing. It doesn't exist. And that's why Bitcoin continues to do its thing every single year for the last 16 years. When you combine psychology and a perfect ledger and zero leakage, that money wins. One money wins at the end of the day. These old worlds will try as hard as they can to pull the system back to physical metals, because they have a lot of the metals right now, and then they know that, hey, eventually it'll become the thing that we can just corrupt again. Historically, the collapsing empires revert to gold to regain trust, but gold is too slow, too physical, like we said, too centralized to run a global system. This is where Bitcoin holders must resist and return to analog. We must resist a return to analog money, I should say. The world's digital. The ledger must be digital, and the money must be digital. Why would we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? I believe that is called something. That is called insanity. Gold is a step backward. Bitcoin is the final step forward. We actually move civilization forward instead of then counting money the quantity of money that we have, and that's how we denote and look at our self-worth. We start then counting, because if the money is not changing, if the quantity of it is not changing, then we can start focusing on what else matters instead, because all prices start coming down to their marginal cost of zero. Everything starts coming down to zero. And instead of counting number of units to denote who's the happiest, who has the most things, it's who has the most fulfillment, who's doing the most rewarding things in life, who's doing what matters most. That becomes what's focused on instead of the currency itself. Fiat, by its very existence, makes you idolize it because it's constantly devolving and depreciating. So you need to find more and more of it just to live, just to put food on the table. That's the sinisterness of it. It breaks multiple commandments just by its very existence. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not have false idols. Worship anyone else other than me, your Lord. It breaks literally a handful of commandments just by its very existence. That world is going away. As this thought continues to get out there more and more people start to realize this, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. We have to do our part. What's the money that best encodes our time in our cooperation? What's the money that leaks the least or not at all? What's the money that survives demographic shifts? What's the money that matches a global and digital civilization? When you zoom out, it's obvious. This decade isn't about gold or fiat or tribes. It's about the first money that actually works in a global digital world. Bitcoin. Zoom out. What's up, guys? Masculine Excellence? Yes, this is actually live. Torp, what's going on? Appreciate you guys. Unless you guys have any questions, I'm probably going to shut it down. We did an hour and a half on Friday. I think Mallers is doing it live right now. Didn't want to do it this late, but such is life. So I'm learning. Time is my bugaboo that I'm getting better at. So appreciate you. Yes, this is live. We'll probably be doing these live a couple times a week, probably 3 times a week, probably like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at least for right now, maybe a 4th time. And it'll be live. I have a couple bullet points. Like I said, I go into each of these shows with a main point and then a couple bullet points to talk about. And then I just riff. I just go. I just regurgitate all of my thinking and studying over the last 25 years. And I just rant like I did for an hour and a half on Friday. So if you want to go watch that one, which ironically was actually one of our bigger lives we've done. I think it was the second biggest live we've done and has like over 2,000 views. So I appreciate you guys going and checking that out because it's just me ranting for like an hour and a half. And it's a frustrating world that we live in. Don't get it at times, don't understand it. And there's just so much nonsense, so much noise out there. And it's frustrating. And that's why a lot of what we do here on these live streams, we have the podcast, obviously. We have John Haar, ex Wall Street Insider, is going to be joining us tomorrow on the podcast. So we're dropping that. So I think you guys will really enjoy that one. John's an incredible guy, a wonderful thinker. And the live streams are just me trying to sit back and zoom out and think about what the things that are the most important. What are the most important things? What are we putting our energy into? What are we actually focusing on as human beings? Though that's how we have to focus moving forward. That's what we actually have to, because that's what grows. Whatever you put your energy into, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. And it goes back to the poem. I think I might have shared it here before, but I used to have it hanging in my room for a long time. My coach, when I was a kid, gave it to me. He was one of the last cuts off the 1980 Miracle on Ice hockey team. And he always say, don't think it weakens the team. But then he gave us a poem about, it was from the Detroit Red Wings, actually. They had hanging in their locker room, I believe, 30 years ago. And it was about the one who thinks he can. I forget the title of, because I think it's taken and adapted slightly, but they did. But anyway, the poem is life's, don't even remember it now. It's a long poem, but the paraphrasing of it is that if you think you can, you will. If you can't, you won't. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but to the one who thinks he can. And that to me is, David, what's up? Yeah, they want our Bitcoin. They absolutely do. Bought more today. Yeah. Same. I think anyone who gets the fight we're in, the spiritual battle we are in, the spiritual warfare that we are in, is buying today. And it's never been more apparent. It's going to get crazier. It's going to get crazier before it gets better. Unfortunately, it just is. We haven't even We sowed so many poor seeds here in America. At least I'm just speaking of America, as I'm from America, that we've lived through maybe half of the bad seeds we've sown. I think about what we have to go through, but that's the cleansing of life. That's the fourth turning. That's the cycles we must go through in order to clean out the system and to actually get through uh, what's in front of us. So we all need to continue stacking and stand together. There's much more of us out there, and we have ways to go, but they're out there. A couple percent of people. That's all we need to. And if you think you can, if you think, oh, I'm going to use Bitcoin, and you do it, and you're replacing it, and then spending it right away. If you're contributing to the economy, the circular economy, if you are not worried about the couple cents in tax each year you might have to deal with, then those are the people building the next economy. And if we sit back and do nothing, and we let the garden go unattended, whether it's from the inside and people are doing things to the protocol, the consensus protocol, or people are doing things from the outside, and we're letting governments shape our opinion or our thoughts on things, then we're going to have a bad time. We have to be active in the narrative. We are the stories we tell ourselves. We are 8 billion stories around the world, and everyone's living a story. I think I can. I think I shouldn't. I won't. I can't. I can. Everyone has different stories they tell themselves, and whatever you think is true. So if you think Bitcoin won't work here, it won't. If you think it can, it will. People say it all the time. Again, it's like, well, Bitcoin won't work here. Government's gonna shut it down. Okay, well, it'll shut it down for you. They're not shutting it down for me. They can't, so they won't. And some people just think they will. They'll sit in the dollar. Or they'll sit in some place that's stealing from them because they told themselves a story. And it really is that easy. It's a 1-second decision. What's so frustrating about Bitcoin is it's thousands of hours of study, life experience, a gauntlet you go through. And at the end of the day, it's a 1-second decision to switch and change your mind forever. I'm not going back. I'm not using a money that steals from me. Or I'm not using a currency that steals from me. Money needs to be a store of value. Currency is fiat currencies. There's no store of value. So it's thousands of hours that go into it, but it's a 1-second decision that changes your life. And that's what's so frustrating for the average Bitcoiner is you forget about all the studying. You forget about all the work you put into it. You forget about the gauntlet. You forget about the people making fun of you. You forget about the people being negative. You forget about the people who have weak minds and they tell you why it won't work or won't happen. And it's just a reflection of their own beliefs and their own weakness and their own lackadaisical nature. They won't put the work in. And love it, OG. OG stacks, like my 1,000 hours in. Yep. And so that's what's so frustrating to Bitcoiners. It's a 1-second decision. So we forget all the work we put into it and all the heartache. And human beings, we just do this in general. We forget about what the work that went into it. It just seems like a blur. And then we look around and say, why doesn't everyone else get this? This is the easiest thing ever. It's, Bitcoin seems crazy to those who don't get it. And then it seems obvious to those who do. And you look around and you're like, this is a 1-second decision. We should easily be making this decision and it should be done. Boom, it's over. And that's what's so frustrating. I know that's so frustrating for myself because it is literally a 1-second decision. It's what you tell yourself. So I think that's why it's important at times like this to zoom out, talk about, hey, this is what's coming forward, to put things into perspective, like this. The debt. Look at that. Where do we think this is going? Where do we think this is going? This is why these are gifts. When you get more sats, much more sats, 10, 20% more sats today than you did a couple weeks ago, a month ago, for your cuckbucks, for your dollars, for your US trash tokens, as Nolan Bowerly would say. Exactly, Ed. Bitcoin's still the same. Nothing has changed. Just cheaper in dollars today. Oh, dang it. You know what? The one thing I didn't get today was the fundamentals. I might try to look it up, but the hash rate. We talked about this a little bit the other day, but when you're an investor, obviously, any of you that have gone down the rabbit hole of analyzing investments and investing, you look at the fundamentals. you look at the fundamentals, right? And the fundamentals never been stronger of Bitcoin. Whether again, it's the decentralization of where coins are going or who owns the coins, or more importantly, the hash rate, the wallets. Like the hash rate has never been higher. It continues to climb. The strength and security of the network. The fundamentals have never been bigger. I don't know if I found it. It looks like I might have found it. Look at time chain calendar. TC time chain calendar is a good one, but I don't know if they have the. So the fundamentals have never been stronger, and yet people get scared because of what some media. Remember, the media is owned by a handful of different people in the world. The media is there to spin a narrative. Period. End of story. Like, financial advisors are literally salesmen. God love them. I know. I'm friends with some of them. They're salesmen for Wall Street. The 401k, employer matching, all these things. These are designed to keep you in the matrix, in the system. And I don't say it's matrix in the movie, just matrix entrapped in this world, the golden handcuffs, this world that you can't get out of, and now you can't operate. And when a couple people remove themselves from that hamster wheel and from those golden handcuffs, then you are free to do what you want. You are free to vote outside of that prism, vote outside your job, vote outside your retirement plan, vote outside your pension, vote outside the healthcare plan you have, which, by the way, Crowd Health is one of our sponsors. We're blessed to have Crowd Health as one of our sponsors. Super low cost health sharing, crowd sharing. Best move we ever made in the last 5 years is going to the crowd sharing and not having insurance. Our insurance was like massive. It was $1,200 a month years ago. And I lost my mind finally, because I was sitting there. If I would have been investing in Bitcoin in 2014, 15, and 16, instead of the $1,000 a month I was paying, I would be able to own Blue Cross Blue Shield. I let alone I just have this thing. Like, why do I have this? I could just use catastrophic insurance. Well, can't have that anymore. But I could have just crowdfunded something. Hey, if something really bad happened, I could just spin up a story and say, hey, this is what happened, and raise a bunch of money. Just entrepreneurial thinking. And instead, now we have these great platforms like Crowd Health that are Bitcoiners. Andy's going over, and we're gonna have him on the podcast soon. But wonderful people, Bitcoiners, where you actually have a world where you're paying in cash, and your bills are funded on the back end by the crowd sharing group of people, the community of people, and it's amazing, way cheaper, way better care, and you're not limited to the certain people that are in the network or whatever it is, and you get you go in and say, hey, I'm self-pay. People love it. The doctors love it. The offices love it, because then they're not dealing with all the BS. They don't have to send you to medical billing, and they don't have to do all these crazy things. Like, it's so mind bending. It's so backward. We are so incredibly backwards in the fiat world. It's just painful. It's so painful. And as a Bitcoiner, it's tough, because we see all these inefficiencies. We see all these things that fiat has done, and you constantly are just looking around you, every single thing, and saying, oh my gosh, Bitcoin fixes that. Oh my gosh, Bitcoin fixes that. And again, there's a lot that goes into Bitcoin fixes that, right? It's not as easy as just saying that, but it's tough. It's tough. So we are blessed to have Crowd Health. As again, I appreciate you guys checking out the sponsors. They support the show and everything we do. They we have a handful of people. I have a handful of people that work for me, with me, Bitcoiners, great Bitcoiners that help me with the sponsors, that help me with the editing, help me with the graphic design, help me set up the show, work, just all these things, and they're Bitcoiners. And so we are the circular economy, and I want to be able to promote good Bitcoin only products for the people that give their time and energy to watching us, and actually feel like they benefit from the things that we're talking about, and they align with us. So I want to give back and say, hey, these are the products that I love, I use, and they are Bitcoin only. They are open source. They are privacy centric, et cetera, et cetera. And they're promoting, those people are promoting freedom and privacy. I might not agree with every single thing that they all do. We don't all agree. And that's the beauty of life. Bitcoin is the monetization of fear and greed. It's the monetization of people not getting along, but we all agree on this one unchanging set of rules, and that Bitcoin is money for the plebs. It's money for people, and it's a decentralized, immutable ledger, an honest ledger that we can all use together. So I love that. I love that, Ed. Yeah, it really is. It's the same. It has not changed. The fundamentals have not changed. Actually, they keep getting stronger. And here we are. And we have great Bitcoin companies everywhere that are building up around us, and that we have these great, the Square announcement with the merchants being able to use Bitcoin now, all these rails, what Strike is doing, obviously, the Crowd Health, the Meanwhile insurance company. Oh my gosh. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but again, another sponsor of our show. I think it's the last one that I think we have half dozen sponsors, and they have an incredible Bitcoin only life insurance platform. I mean, like, just the things that are coming out now are wild, absolutely wild. So, I love your feedback on any of that stuff. If you guys start using any of that stuff in the live streams going forward, again, we're trying to figure out what kind of lives we'll be doing going forward, the daily news type of show eventually, or if we're just going to do 2, 3, 4 times a week, where it's kind of, it could be 15 minutes or it could be 45 minutes or an hour, kind of hit different subjects depending on how many people are in here, what kind of questions they are. So we're trying to get our schedule figured out here on that. But then you can still expect the 2 podcasts a week. Like I said, we have John Har. The last couple weeks have been crazy just because I was gone a lot speaking at Bitcoin conferences. But then we have John Har coming this week. And then I think we have Peter Dunworth, or no, we have Kent Halliburton of SAS Mining, another incredible mining company, Bitcoin mining company, helping democratize Bitcoin mining for the plebs, for the people. So it's so many incredible companies that are out there that are doing things to help spread Bitcoin and Bitcoin education, Bitcoin awareness, Bitcoin goods and services to the people. And it takes time. I mean, you think about how far we've come in the last 16 years. It really is incredible how far everything has come in 16 years. So I think that it's going to be an amazing ride going forward. We have, obviously, the fiat world is going to keep collapsing. The fiat debt-based monetary legacy Titanic is going to go down. That system's going down. And the Bitcoiners are all shouting on the life raft saying, hey, get in this small, nascent little life raft. And in the dark ocean, it can be scary. It's scary, but we know it's we got a chance. We know that the legacy system is going down. So this is the only shot we have. Why would I keep doing the same thing? Why would I keep shuffling deck chairs? Why would I keep voting in a new captain for the ship that's already struck the iceberg? Seems a little crazy, but hey, what do I know? So this is the world we are in. This is where we find ourselves. And again, if you guys have any thoughts on the show, let me know. Drop me DMs or whatever. Tweet at me. Like I said, if you're using any of the sponsors, you check them out. Let me know your thoughts on them, feedback, and they're all in the show notes below. Foundation, the Passport, the Core. Obviously, I think the Prime is out now. Stamp Seed, Bitcoin Way to help with all that stuff. Check them all out. Soap Miner, amazing. Meanwhile, Bitcoin Insurance, it's amazing stuff. And appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys a ton. And I'm forgetting one, by the way. Forgetting Soap Miner, talked about that. Meanwhile, and Crowd Health. We were just talking about Crowd Health. So appreciate you guys a ton. Throw the feedback in the chat, what you'd like to see with the show and going forward. And we're also going to get this going on Twitter. We'll get this going on Twitter. We can get going on Rumble and a couple of other platforms. And the clarity of the show, too. That's the other quick update. Is I'm working on the clarity of the video of the show in general. And I think I have a few, the bit rate. I've just been looking at all kinds of that stuff. So if anyone knows about that and that technical side of things, working on that with my team as well. I'll try to figure that out. So that way the clarity is better, and we'll figure that out. And I think that's it. Appreciate you guys. Check the videos out tomorrow, podcast, and let me know what you think. John Har, it's going to be a good one. And check the live stream out. I'd be very curious if those of you who are here and then didn't check out the live stream we just did on Friday, a couple of days ago, the biggest scam in human history is unraveling. I would really, really be interested about that, to get your thoughts on that. OG Stacks, thoughts on borrowing against your Bitcoin in the future? Yeah, so I mean, this is a controversial take, I guess. I don't know, but again, I talked about this the other day. I was on a couple podcasts that people wanted to do the other day, and Better by Bitcoin was one of them. Awesome show, and we talked about we are the circular economy. So we are the circular economy, and we have to start acting like it. Replace and spend, replace and spend. You're going to do something, buy some Bitcoin right then, and then send it to the person and transact in Bitcoin. Borrowing on the Bitcoin in the future, I think it's a great idea. We have to live in, we have to live in multiple worlds. I believe, this is my opinion, I believe we have to live in the Bitcoin world as much as humanly possible, while also realizing and understanding that the fiat world still exists and taking advantage of that world. And I believe in intelligent use of debt. I mean, that's the world I come from. It's not for everybody. And this is the beauty of Bitcoin. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here earlier, OG, but the beauty of Bitcoin is I came from the debt world, not like the private equity sense, but I came from the real estate world of raising money and buying properties, fixing up properties, refinancing them. And I came from that world, and it was tough. It was challenging. I had a bunch of people spending, a lot of money, a lot of capital every single month just to try to get a house or two, or find apartments. And it was just something wrong. Like, you could tell something was broken in the economy because none of it made sense. And then you had real estate people all over buying crazy deals that made no sense. And you talk about like PE ratios and stocks, and the deals in real estate made no sense. The debt service coverage ratios, none of them made sense, way out of whack. And people were just, hoping and praying that they would raise money and then they'd be able to refinance later. Like, oh, it's going to be lower rates later and they're going to keep printing. So the fiat price of this thing will just keep going. This apartment complex we bought for $1 million or $5 million, it'll just go up and we'll be able to refinance in a couple of years, pull out the cash and just do this over again. We're seeing a lot of that over the last year or two, a lot of people defaulting in the apartment world, things of that nature. So we're seeing that world start to shudder. The whole point of this, though, is that you shouldn't have to be a hedge fund manager or some real estate veteran or somebody just to save money and just to get ahead. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. It is money. It's doing what money should do. And that's why it will keep sucking the monetary premium from all the assets in the world until it finds its level, whether that's one half of every asset and it's $450 trillion or $500 trillion is the end game. And we're still 250x, 275x from there to go. That might be it, or whatever that is, 250 to 270, 270x from here. Or it has to account for every dollar in the world, which is, if it's a $2 trillion asset right now and we have to go to 1 quadrillion, that's 500x. It has to go 500x from here. That's where Bitcoin is going. And so Bitcoiners will continue to become wealthier and wealthier. They will start building their own cities. Because again, when nation states come in and sovereigns come in, all these people come in, they're going to start buying Bitcoin away from Bitcoiners. So the wealth will get transferred from nation states, from sovereigns, from whoever it is, and it'll be transferred to the Bitcoiner. And again, what does that look like in the future? Maybe a Bitcoiner is borrowing against Bitcoin, and then they're taking dollars to live day to day. I mean, that's personally, if you can never get rid of your sats, which again puts a price or a supply shock out there, and now there's less coins out there, and you're using fiat to transact until that system is imploded on itself. Well, that's great. Hopefully that does happen, and you can use intelligent leverage in order to do that and acquire more Bitcoin, more assets, and being smart about it. Again, this is advanced. This is not financial advice, but this is the advanced world. But again, the average person, if they're just saving in Bitcoin and then they're hodling and self-custody and then they're spending and replacing, or replacing and then spending, that's amazing. And then real estate, yeah, there you go. I was just going to say, so I look at each Bitcoin like a block of real estate. 0.1 as a building lot. Yes. So that's exactly it. And I was going to say the last part of this is, when there's dollars don't exist, then you're looking at trading your Bitcoin, your sats, for assets. So like, say a nation state comes in, or a sovereign, or a BlackRock, or someone comes in and says, hey, we want to buy your Bitcoin. Well, a true Bitcoiner, right, who says, I don't want your fiat, your cuck bucks, I don't want your cash. What are you going to want? You want things of actual value. And again, are there the cases where like you might need whatever the currency is at that time? If it's a peso, yen, lira, the dollar, it's a new dollar, the government's trying to, whatever it might be. Yeah, maybe you're in and out really quick because you need some type of conversion, because some person over here just doesn't use Bitcoin again for some reason, and they're not quite there yet, right? There's these one-off cases, right? But we're going to just take it in general speak, that sooner than later, I would say 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, when you have hyper Bitcoinization, it's just going to be, hey, these people are coming in and they are trading you assets. So if that sovereign is coming in or a nation state, I would be saying, give me a lot, give me a city block for 0.1 Bitcoin. That's how I've said for a while. That's how I know hyper Bitcoinization is here, is that the residents are paying me in Bitcoin. The contractors are asking to be paid in Bitcoin, or whoever it is. The loans are happening in Bitcoin. That's when we'll know hyper Bitcoinization has happened, at least in my eyes. And so to me, I think that that's what's really, really important, is to think in those terms, is reframe your brain in that sense. And so when the dollars don't exist, people that are saving dollars right now, they think they're assets, but they're really liabilities. So they're having a very tough time because they keep saving. Anyone who has the ability to save dollars keeps getting poorer and poorer, and they don't understand why. So they're saving the liabilities they think, or they've been told are assets. In the future, again, a Bitcoiner is going to be trading the actual Bitcoin when the dollar doesn't exist and you can't loan against it anymore. I guess is the main point of all that. And I forgot to mention that when the dollar doesn't exist, so you can't lend against your Bitcoin anymore, and that goes away, then it'll be trading that Bitcoin, those Satoshis, for other productive assets. And I talked about this like 6 months ago with Dr. Jeff Ross on the podcast. And we talked about, his thought was 20 years from now. My thought has always been 10 to 20 years out, just because of the demographic shift. I look at it because of the demographic shift, and we have the younger generations taking power and getting their wealth transfer from the older generation. They sunset out of power, out of the limelight, and then the younger generation has the wealth. It gets turned into Bitcoin, a lot of it, because they're not going to know how to do anything. Again, let's be real here. The younger generation doesn't know how to do a lot of stuff because they've been eroded out of, they've just been trampled. They've been trampled right out of life. So a lot of them have very few skills. A lot of them are just college educated. I'm college educated. I don't claim to have the skills. My father has way more variety and diversity of skills than I do. He's a doctor. He can break down a car and build it back up. He's a hunter. He's an outdoorsman. He's like, he can do a little bit of everything. And that's how people used to be. Like, a lot of people used to be like that. Now, very few people. We're all specialists. We look through the prism of just where we were trained and what our schooling was. And so we have a very hard time getting out of that. And so a comment, Matt, I'm not sure what you mean, a comment. And Bitcoin will never go below 60 again. Block lords. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But yeah, it's you have this world where you shouldn't have to have 150 IQ in order to get ahead. I don't believe that's how life works. Like, only the people who have 150 IQ are going to be able to get ahead in life. I don't think that's the way we are made. Humans, if you work at McDonald's and you save 1 Bitcoin a year, right? If you save 1 Bitcoin a year, no matter what you make, if you save 1 Bitcoin a year, I'm just giving for math's sake, and then you have a doctor who makes 10 Bitcoin. I mean, say he makes 100 Bitcoin a year, but he saves 0. Say he's spending everything he has. Who's going to be ahead 10 years from now? And so you can see right there very easily that in a world on a Bitcoin standard, the poor middle class have a way to get ahead because, again, remember, the prices are coming down. Prices are coming down all the time. So your Satoshis, you might be getting paid less. You might be getting paid less, but the prices are coming down and everything. And they're going down faster over time. As you keep getting paid, prices keep coming down. Instead of you get paid at the beginning of the month or whatever it is, twice a month, and the prices keep going up every single day of the month, it's reverse. So you might get paid, you might say you get paid less, but then the prices keep going down slowly every single day of the month. And then the creative destruction happens, and a lot of things trend to 0. But what happens is, this is the thing that people don't get about deflation, though, either, is they say, well, the economy just craters and everyone just stops doing things. Well, by necessity, humans will want to flourish. They'll want to do things. We will make things and do things out of sheer want, out of productivity, out of, hey, we have abundance, so I'm going to do this and that. Now, is everyone going to do that? No. But we will have people doing things because they have the means to do it. They're not trapped on a hamster wheel. Right now, a lot of people are doing things. I mean, think of how many unnecessary jobs and how many things are out there that are just hamster wheel jobs. And they're just there. I mean, maybe right this second there's less, but think of over the last, decade or two, last couple of decades, how there's so much raising debt and just these nonsense jobs, nonsense things going on, all kinds of government waste, because we just had mass amounts of currency just flowing out into the system for no reason, raising debt, and we're just going to fine people to fill that thing. Well, now that efficiency is going to kick in, and then that starts going away, and people are doing the things for the right reasons, for the right purpose. So instead of counting, at the end of the day, the importance of this is the instead of counting the number of currency units you have in order to determine wealth, you're counting, hey, how big is my family? How much are we providing for other people, and how fulfilled are we? What are we focusing on in society? And instead of, it changes the incentive, the complete incentive of the monetary system we're using, flips the paradigm. So people aren't focused on material wealth and consumerism, and they're not focused on how can I do things just to get ahead. How can I put cheaper ingredients in my food to make more dollars? Because the dollars are slipping like sand through your hands. So you're finding cheaper and cheaper ways, worse and worse products, worse and worse ingredients, worse and worse materials to put into all your things, screwing over your end consumer, because out of necessity, out of sheer need to survive, you have to then, you're incentivized to scam your customer, whether you want to or not. Well, it's flipped on its head with Bitcoin, right? If everyone keeps getting more wealthy over time, only the strongest companies survive, and more people can survive at certain times when you have a free market, because of the creative destruction aspect, where when government steps in and starts making subsidies, or you have this world where you start giving all these grants or subsidies, or too big to fail, the bailouts, that's what starts really messing with the free market, and the free market doesn't know how to react. But if you have a set schedule of monetary units, then the world can actually recalibrate itself off of that. And so again, the big thing at the end of the day is, like you guys were saying, it's 0.1, 10 million sats or a million sats for a commercial building or apartment complex, or it's a city block, or whatever it is. Those are the trades that are going to be happening in the future. So that's the thing that people, again, they don't get. It's, well, the dollar doesn't exist, the Bitcoin won't either. Well, no, Bitcoin is the monetary unit. It is the unit of account. The dollar is fake. How can you measure anything in a fake dollar that's just being printed in oblivion? You can't measure anything. That's why anyone who tries to measure anything at all, anywhere, is completely confused. I think I've got the thing that Jack Mallers showed. There we go. I got to show this one last thing. This is the world we are living in. This is why it's so confusing for the average person, because they keep measuring everything in dollars or in dollar terms. So nothing makes sense to them. And then you get caught in you're trying to complicate things, trying to complicate the trade. And you start getting into this other world of like, I need to invest in other assets and whatever. So the blue line here, let me see if that looks, hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better. But the blue line is the stock market, with this over the last, was it 50 years, 20 years? Can't see. Anyway, the whole point is the blue line is the stock market valued in dollars, and it's just going through the roof. But if you value it by the orange line, it's going to zero. So even if you have everything priced in Bitcoin, it's going to zero. And the consumer sentiment is white, and the gold is, or the yellow line is gold, going down. But yet the stock market, in terms of dollars, this measuring stick that keeps moving everywhere, is blue, and it looks like it's going up. So why isn't everything else going up? Well, it's because it's being diluted, right? So if you flip it, and Bitcoin is going up in the stock market, so what's really happening is Bitcoin is going up, obviously, if you chart upside down, and then the stock market and dollars going down. And if Bitcoin was going up, then consumer sentiment would be going up. So anyway, this is, we broke this down. We did more of a deep dive on this on Friday. So it was we had a couple thousand views on Friday watching that. We had a good response on that one on Friday. So if anyone wants to go check that out, you can go look at that. Yeah, the term market cap was your eye opener to Bitcoin, OG stacks. Bitcoin will swallow up other assets. I was all in at that point 5 years ago. Yeah, same. That was one of my orange pill moments. 5-10 years ago. Same thing. I mean, it was holding wealth in your head was one of my orange pill moments. Max Kaiser 5 or 10 years ago. I can't remember what it was. Probably 2017 or 2018, somewhere in 2019. And then seeing network effect of Bitcoin. So to your point, a little bit, market cap what is actually happening, that to me, the network effect of Bitcoin, seeing the log chart of Bitcoin, and you realize, oh, it's again, it takes away the fiat volatility price swings. You just see it's a network effect. It's Metcalfe's law. It's a network growing in time by the users and what's actually happening. You start understanding it from that perspective. Totally blows your mind. Blows your mind. So yeah, Randall, no more jack of all trades. Yeah, I mean, from everything I've seen, humans are meant to be generalists, where they need to know a little about a lot of things for thousands of years. And only recently, really recently, because of the Industrial Revolution, we have kids just on the conveyor belt of school, and they go specialized, and then they can't see the forest in the trees. And even the warlords used to have people specialize, actually, just because they wanted no one to come attack them. So there's this same kind of world we're living in, to a degree, where we have the doers. We want doers, not thinkers. And not the Rothschilds, but the Rockefellers, similar, from 120 years ago, where they created the General Board of Education. They wanted worker bees. They wanted kids going through the assembly line of school and government-run schools, so that way they could have doers and worker bees on the assembly lines, the Industrial Revolution, and not thinkers. They didn't want competition, number one, and they didn't. And then you get into, very quickly after that, obviously 5 years later is the Panic of 1907. Then 6 years after that was the creation of the Federal Reserve and the IRS and the income tax, and it just spun out of control very quickly after that. But again, when you have this ability to drum up fear and scare younger generations, and you have mass media starting to come about in those ages, radio, the paper is obviously already there, but then like radio, then you have the TV in the 50s, 60s, like really starting to become huge after World War II. Oh man, just game over. And that's where you get movies like, here we are at the end game, guys, right? Like, we're at the end game. This is why you need to zoom out. We have Fight Club, Matrix, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Sovereign Individuals, like books and movies all coming out around the same time. I'm forgetting a couple now off the top of my head, but all these movies in the, grunge music, alternative music in the 90s. The 60s hippie movement was a little tough, just because of some of it. There's a lot of literature, or there's a lot of information out there that was purposely done, and that, like, the drugs and the music was purposely perpetrated or put out there and thrust into the younger generations to revolt against the parents, ironically. So there's some competing thoughts about that. But I'll just say about the 90s. So now you have like this fourth turning, where the last 20 30 years, you have this world where people are starting to wake up, and they realize, hey, this system's been completely broken, and what's the meaning of my life? Oh, Office Space, that was another one. Just like Office Space, you have these worlds of people in these movies where, like, is this all that there is? I mean, how many of them? I'm trying to think. Fight Club, Office Space, and The Matrix. I mean, what, they're all working in cubicles, right? The whole thing is, I don't know why I'm here. What's the point of life? Is this all there is? And it's a crisis men are having. And then you mix in on top of that feminism. You make basic collectivism, communism, pushing the feminist narrative, and all these different things. And so you have an effeminate society. So now you have this world where it becomes very clouded, and I'm trying to think of the best word, but yeah, it just becomes very clouded, and it's hard to make decisions because we have all these competing commercialism. Well, that was the consumerism, the commercialism, and all that's going on, beating us endlessly with. After World War II, that consumerism, hey, we have this huge machine we need to prop up. So the consumerism. And again, that's why I bring up the feminist thing too, because women get beat over the head with consumerism because they're emotional creatures, and that's something, like, for some reason we just don't want to, we don't want to accept any reality in life anymore, which is really sad. And we could harness those truths to elevate ourselves, but we don't. We let things get out of control. And so women get beat over the head with the consumerism and magazines and this and that. And you got to buy this and you got to get that. And it plays on their design, which is beautiful. But it plays on the negative aspects of each of us, right? Because men and women both have great qualities. And then there's some of those fallen parts of us. And that's what this world with fiat, bringing this all together. Fiat is the destruction, and using the evil. I always think of, like, you're at the top of the river, or you're at the fork in the road. If you guys have seen the meme, obviously, of Bitcoin and freedom, or CBDC and slavery. We chose this fiat world, again, the thinkers not doers, the General Board of Education, and then 10 years later we had the the panic, and then we had the Federal Reserve come out. Well, you sip from the chalice of easy currency and you destroy the money. And then obviously it sped up in 1933 and then 1943, Bretton Woods and gold, them trying to take away gold from everybody. And then 1971 and 64, taking the silver out of the coins, and 71, taking the gold out of the money. So now we don't have anything. We're untethered from reality. And when you make that decision 100 years ago to, hey, we're going to start messing with the money, you've now accepted all the downstream ramifications. And all the bad stuff comes from it. You can't have good society from dishonest money. You can't have honest society from dishonest money. You can't have good fruit from a bad tree. So once you make that decision up at the top, it then clouds and pollutes every decision downstream. And that's what makes it so hard. And so the decision really lies like way up here. And that's why it's so hard. Like this is where we get into modern day of the politicians. And we talked about obviously in the 90s, all these movies, all the vibes and the aura, all that was going on. People are realizing this. And that's why like today, and really the last handful of decades, you have politicians that they're going to promise this, we're going to do that. It's just evolved into who can promise what. And this is like goes back to like the Frederick Bastiat and the law and was it Deceit and Plunder? I forget the books now. I don't think I have them here. And they talk about this very thing. When politicians, when people realize they can just vote themselves in free things, that's what happens. And so now we're at that end game. We are at the end scenario where we have chosen evil from day one. So now you're going to get evil. You've chosen to eat from the tree of good and evil. You've chosen the tree of knowledge, I should say. So you now know the difference between good and evil. So you're going to get that. You're going to get the ramification of that decision, whether it was Adam and Eve or our forefathers before us that are choosing dishonest money. We now have to bear that cost. We now have to go through that gauntlet, and we now have to rectify those things in some way, shape, or fashion. So that's the world we are in. And that's the world we are now going to play in. And we are already entered, and we are going to have to see it through. We're going to have to root out all of the gut rot. So here we are. And Bitcoin is why Bitcoin was discovered, because of this very problem, obviously. And it took 100 years. We've been trying to find how to send value through the internet for since 60s, 70s. Encryption, encryption's around before that. We've been trying to. Bitcoin was the end game. Bitcoin was the final stop, because that's the thing that, again, when we're not taught all these things, we don't learn all these things. You start thinking, oh, hey, Bitcoin was the beginning. Like there's a lot of people, obviously, tons of people, crypto people, and the Peter Schiffs of the world, and gold bugs, and all these people. The people that haven't done their homework, they look at it and think, oh, crypto is this new thing, and like they're like moon boys and like all these different things. That's the part of the deceit, and part of the thing that's hard to see when you don't understand, you haven't done the work. You don't realize, again, many of the things, but one of them is Bitcoin is the end of the line. This has been worked on for a long time, whether it's eCash or Nick Szabo and Adam Back and all these people that were working on this, and then everyone previously for decades working on these things. And if you guys have ever seen like the map of all the different digital monies that have been worked on and come up with, and these different ways to send value and solve the Byzantine general problem, and work and send value across the internet that was incorruptible. It's been worked on for a long time, and Bitcoin was the final stop of that. And so again, people get in this like, well, it's too new technology. Well, it's not. This is the end game, and it's a protocol that can't be changed easily. That's the beauty of it. It's not a technology. It's a aggregation maybe of a bunch of technologies, but it's a protocol. And that's the beauty. It uses technologies. And that's where, again, people get it confused. That's why they think, oh, Zcash is going to be the next thing, or XRP, or like whatever other stuff out there, the centralized nonsense, this and that, proof of stake, that. All these things were validators. There's no, the attack vectors are huge. Someone else can corrupt it. They can control it. It is corrupted by, or it is controlled by someone else, and on and on and on. Again, people are generally, it's a lot of those different coins are scams, a lot of them. Some of them, are great because they've given Bitcoin a runway to do things, and then the innovation comes to Bitcoin. But a lot of it is just people trying to take your Bitcoin. it's just people trying to rug pull you and then take your Bitcoin. They understand the game, but you don't understand the game. They prey on retail. They prey on dumb people, unfortunately, people that make themselves dumb by not doing the homework, and then and lazy people by not doing the homework, and then they take your Bitcoin, they take your cash, and they buy Bitcoin with it, or they literally take your Bitcoin in the case of Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. So that's the world that, again, we live in, and we have to understand in this adversarial world, and Bitcoin is the only money out there between fiat, all the altcoins, gold and silver. Gold and silver is the only thing that can be construed as money. All the other things are currencies at best. And so the attack vector has to be so small. It's got to be the smallest. When you choose a money for society, the bedrock of your society, you have to choose something that has the smallest possible attack vector, period. Otherwise, you are building your house on sand. So I'm gonna share there we go. I've shared this before, but on one of our other videos as well. And it's the 3 levels of wealth, power, and control we did. So a live stream, if you want to go look at that, I broke this down. But this is how the world works. It's good and evil spirits really controlling everything. And then the monetary layer is there. You choose to build your society and the politics on top of that monetary layer. But everyone lives in this layer, the politics layer. They think that this is the layer where life works and presides, and we all live in here. Well, most people live in there. They choose political currencies, fake currencies, hot air, arguing, all kinds of BS, protesting, when really the game is here. It's good for evil spirits, but this is the bedrock you choose to use. If you choose fiat, well, you're going to have a bunch of garbage going on, and you're going to have things that you can't control. You have no idea what's going on, and it just violently flies out of control someday. And this is the Bitcoin world. If you choose this with the smallest attack vector, a finite time for your finite time and energy, you then take all the gains, all the productivity gains, all of the deflation in the world, and you redistribute it back to the people, and it shrinks this. This is why eventually it becomes smaller. This is the good and evil spirits control most of the things. You know, you choose good or you choose evil, like we said. So then you decide, if I choose evil, we choose fiat, then you're going to get politics. If you choose good, you choose Bitcoin, you choose the thing that can't be controlled. And that's the most decentralized, the hardest money, the most secure. Then you minimize the politics. You don't have to deal with nearly as much politics. You're going to have politics in life in the sense that we're humans, but you're not going to have nearly the political games going on. You don't have a political currency anymore. You're going to shrink government down to its size, because again, humans are humans. And if they have Bitcoin as well, they're going to see, oh, I don't have the need to be in politics. You're still going to have humans that want to control other people. You're still going to have some of that. But again, when more people are more wealthy, it's going to be harder and harder for those cracked vessels that are incepted by evil to do bad things. So, Oliver, what is going on? Appreciate you guys being here. This has gone an hour longer than I was planning on doing, so I appreciate you guys being here. Really appreciate it a lot. So I told my wife I'd only go for 15 minutes, so I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. Yeah. That's why Bitcoin. Yeah, it's going to confuse. It's going to confuse a lot of people. It is confusing. I mean, everything is confusing right now to everyone, because people are paying attention to hot air. They're paying attention to politics. They're paying attention to things that are fake, and it's hard. So it's very hard to figure out what's actually happening. So I'm glad I stuck it out as well. So let's is there something else that you're meaning by that, though? The swallowing up. You're talking about like the asset premiums, the things we were talking about earlier. The OG is going to confuse a lot of people. Now I'm reading it differently. So let me know if you had something else you were thinking of when you were saying that. But Vincenzo, yeah, we are going higher. We are going a lot higher. Again, there's zero. So, there's a saying of there's no bottom to fiat. Well, the bottom is zero, right? The bottom is zero, and the inverse of that is infinity. So we are going as high as humanly possible in Bitcoin terms. That's very easy to see. Again, all currencies, all fiat currencies have gone to zero. Every single one in human history. So again, this is what's so frustrating. I ask people, again, people want to fight about this, like, oh, Bitcoin's not going to work, or this and that, and the dollar this, and it's like, it's tough, because when you don't learn history, you don't understand history because you're not studying it. You don't learn it in school. It is hard to talk to a lot of people. Like you said, it's going to confuse a lot of people. So it's every currency has gone to zero in human history. Every single one, every fiat currency. So where do you think this one's going? Do you think the trend all of a sudden is going to stop? Again, we were just sharing the debt, the total debt. Like, do we think the debt's all of a sudden going to change and reverse course? We're at 38 trillion. We're at 5, 6, 7 trillion 20 years ago. Do we think that all of a sudden it's just going to magically go the other direction? Like, it's just somehow just going to just all of a sudden reverse course? Absolutely not. We're at the exponential part of the curve. So the debt, looking at the debt, that is in essence the price of Bitcoin. What the debt keeps doing, the price of Bitcoin will keep doing, because people will keep seeking the hardest money. That's all there is to it. So, yeah, touching on Death Booth's words again, how we think about human value always increasing in dollars. Yeah, it is. All we know that everything is crashing when pricing Bitcoin. Yeah, it is so sinister. It's so sinister because it's the good and evil thing. It's the good and evil spirits, like we said. You choose bad, you're evil. You you do the crime, you do the time. So we choose evil. We chose to eat from the tree of knowledge. Well, we have the ramifications of that. Guess what? We die now. We didn't have to. We didn't have to. If we just would have stayed course with truth and followed first principles, fundamentals, God's word, could have lived forever. But we knew better. Humans knew better. Same thing here. Same thing. Humans know better. We can mess with the money. We can mess with the free market. We can build our own towers of Babel. Well, good luck. Good luck. You've chosen to drink from the chalice of easy currency. You will now suffer the ramifications of that. Everything after that will be distorted. You don't know what's up and what's down. It's impossible. Good luck. The 900 trillion global wealth will end up indeed being infinity over 21 million. Yeah. I mean, and right there, that's a great point too, right? Because everyone says, well, it'll medium exchange that'll come, and then like unit of account will be the last thing. It's like unit of account's already here. Like unit of account is everything divided over by 21 million. I got the book; it's back there somewhere. But again, if no one's read Knut's book, go read that. Again, read Modern Chains by Neil Flesher, Apache pilot from the U.S. Military Academy. Amazing. If you're sick of macro and numbers and what, again, the average person is going to take to this much more than they are a numbers book, the macro. Most people don't understand macro. They don't understand the fiat system. They don't understand anything that's going on. So something like this, the moral case or moral money, the actual moral reasons that Bitcoin exists and why we're using a dishonest money and how it's destroying your life, that's going to get much more play than, hey, look at 500 charts. I love those books. I love me some Larry Lepard. I love the Lynn Allens of the world. Love them to death. And there's a time and place for that. But at the end of the day, we need to get plebs on board. We have to. We have to. Getting all the sovereigns in the world, that's great. Countries, I mean, that's wonderful. It's great. But at the end of the day, just because look at El Salvador. Just because a state comes along doesn't mean that the citizenry just gets it all of a sudden. We have, people have to be educated, come hell or high water. So, yeah. And so everything divided by 21 million. I mean, I divide everything in my life by 21 million. It is the constant. It is the control and the experiment. We already have it. You don't have to wait. You stack sats, self-custody you guessed it, in your passport core, put it in your stamp seed, get my stamp seed out here. I mean, this is so incredibly simple, guys. It really is. They got the 12 word, they got the 24 word. Let's go. Come on. I mean, this is easy stuff. It's easy. So I love it. I see the LOLs in the chat. So anyway, get your stuff. Get your links. They're in the description. Go check that out. Give me feedback on the sponsors as well. Don't have to do it today, but let me know. They don't teach regular history anymore. They forget economic history. Yeah, I mean, again, right when the gold and silver was taken out of the money, they stopped teaching gold and silver in MBA programs, everything, right? Gold and silver is the money. Newsflash, gold was on there, payable in gold to the bearer on demand. It was on the dollars, in the money, and it has been stripped from the money. Can I just say, Vincenzo said, that was by OG Stacks as well, by the way, teaching history so well. I should be showing these. I don't know why I'm not showing these. Sorry, guys. Can I just say fear and greed index was 1718 back during the tariff announcement back in April. Bitcoin rallied 80% to 125 in just 4 months. We are now at 17 index. We're fine. Yeah. Again, that's why I do the lives and talk about some of the stuff. I talk about current events. People like talking about current events, and I can't stand current events because they don't. To me, it is what it is. You stack sats. This is the whole point of Bitcoin. Again, I've taken my chips off the table and I said, hey, you guys You guys go play with this world. I'm here to defund this system that's enslaving everyone. I'm taking the chips off the table. I'm putting them in my passport core, putting in my words on my stamp seed. I'm using the companies like Meanwhile, the Bitcoin Way, Crowd Health. I'm outside the system. Get on well and septic. I'm using the beef tallow, grow a garden. I'm outside the system. I'm outside the system. Hit the range. I mean, come on. This is simple stuff. This is very simple stuff. Make it just part of your life. This is the ethos. This is the way. Set the tone. Be the example. So we are completely fine, to Vincenzo's point. No crying in the casino, Oliver. Yeah. Oh man, what's crazy, Brandon, is I'm a wildland fire medic, and when I started, I made so much Bitcoin in 19 days. To make the same amount of Bitcoin I got 3 years ago, it takes me almost a whole year. That's the signal and all the noise right there, Oliver. That's it. And the great reframing, and that's maybe this is one of the last things I'll share here. To your point, Oliver, so everyone can see this. That what happens over the last 10 years when you save in Bitcoin, you're saving the hardest money in the world. And because I think this reframing is by far the most important thing, and what really starts to orange pill people and help them see what's actually happening. No, I can't find it, of course, but you guys, oh, here it is. You guys have seen this, I know. Hopefully that's showing up. There we go. There's so many memes of this now, obviously, but this one I got to get a different one because it doesn't show the dollar value, but the dollar value was 150,000 in 2012, the median price. And then in 2016 it was 250, then it was 350, then it was 450 in 2024. And the Bitcoin price keeps going down and down and down, to your point, Oliver. So yeah, hit the range, OG Stacks. Let's go. Let's go, team. Hit the range. You have to hit the range. Have to hit the body shop, hit the range. Use your beef tallow products. Eat clean, eat healthy, garden. Hit Texas Slim for your meat, grass-fed beef. There's so many good grass-fed beef areas all over now. So check those out. I mean, this is simple stuff. Then you don't even need to use, once you're eating right and putting good stuff in your body, then you don't even need to use up half these other things. So anyway, this is, to your point though, this is so important. So important. So I'll show your comment here. So right there, that's it. That is when you price your life in Bitcoin, and that's your unit of account. And then you're using it every day as a medium of exchange. And yes, is that a little bit trickier sometimes? Yeah. But like, we're Bitcoiners, for crying out loud. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, oh my gosh. Yeah, the best website is what is it? Buy stupid shit, or I forget what is that website when you can like hit the little spinny thing and then it shows you what you bought 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and what it was worth in Bitcoin and what it would be worth now. Oh man, it's so good. So good. I love it. Yeah. Oh man, I love that. These comments are so good. All right, yeah. I hate this meme. I spent 180 on a vape juice. Vape juice is what, like 100 grand now or something? Yeah, what is it? And then Oliver, this is awesome. I bought a Casper bed for $800. Now it's worth 400,000. Oh, I can't. It's amazing. Yeah, this is the world we live in. And it's gonna be the same thing 5 years from now. It's gonna be the same thing 10 years from now, because that just keeps going higher. And like we said, we had to mention this on every show again. I think we mentioned earlier too. Well, Bitcoin wouldn't be around if the debt didn't exist and the government wasn't printing, and it's only here because of liquidity. And every time there's a liquidity injections in the government. No shit. You don't say. You don't say. Thanks, Sherlock Holmes. Genius comments. So smart of you. You figured it out. I mean, what are we doing here? Chancellor on brink of second bailout. Tell me what has changed. Tell me what has changed in the Western world, everywhere around you. I mean, this is, we live in a clown world. And people, hey, Bitcoin's on a need to know basis. As Michael Saylor said, it's for ears that need to hear and eyes that need to see. That's it. So this is it's simple. So hit the range, take care of yourself. Don't buy a Casper bed for $800 in 2015, and don't buy the vape juice in 2014. Never again, like the boys say here. Never again. Replace and spend at the very least. And someone asked earlier again about, let me see, where was it? About swallow the pride, lending on Bitcoin. Again, yeah, borrowing on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, again, to each their own. Everyone's, like we said, we got to live in multiple worlds. If you can live on a Bitcoin standard, amazing. Lend against it. I think there's amazing products now. Any way you can speculative attack on the system where we are in, because again, this is the peaceful revolution. At the end of the day, this is we're not at the Battle of Concord. Fortunately, we get to live in a different time where there's a different peaceful way to do this, where we're not writing the declaration and sending it to the king and saying, hey, this is what's going to happen, this is what we want, and then having the war come to our shores. It's a different war. It's a different world. It's a psychological war. It's an information war. That's what we're playing. That's why I talked about earlier in this show, I talked about money being psychological. It is purely psychological at the end of the day. Whatever you believe, if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. If you think government won't be, if you think government's going to shut down Bitcoin, then it will. In your head, it will. You'll reroute your life to Bitcoin, But again, if you believe, hey, Bitcoin is going to take over, it's going to be everything, we're going to pull humanity across this finish line, then guess what? Those people will do that. But there are a lot of people that believe it won't, because they just shut their mind off. It's easier to do nothing. It's the lazy way out. It's easy. There's no work involved. I don't have to change. I don't have to read. I don't have to work out. I don't have to hit the range. I don't have to use different products. I don't have to calculate my capital gains a little bit. It's easy. It's Jim Rohn always said, it's better to live 30 years of adventure than 100 years safe and secure in the corner. If you want to live safe and secure in the corner, we'll sit you over there in the corner. We'll give you 3 meals a day. You can live for 100 years. You just got to sit there and stare at the corner all day. And the person says, well, why would I do that? That sounds crazy. Exactly. Way better to live 30 years full of adventure, 30 years of volatile freedom than 100 years of peaceful slavery. So yeah, never again, Vincenzo. Oliver, we also have to remember that $41 a pizza in 2010 is now about $1 billion in Bitcoin. Good old pizza day. Was it May 22nd, 2010? I wonder if I had my pizza day Bitcoin trading card in here. I don't think I do. I got to open some of these other packs and get the Bitcoin trading cards. Pizza day card is like the most beautiful card ever. So pretty. I got to bring it next time. Yeah, was that May 21st or May 22nd, 2010? Wow, now I can't think for some reason. I think it's 22nd. But good old Laszlo. 10,000 Bitcoin later. Trump wants to send out $2,000 checks mid-2026, and people are bearish. Yeah, exactly. That was the whole point of the show. That was the whole point of the show, that it's just frustrating. What's coming? The liquidity injections, the system is built on debt. It has to continually debase itself. It has to have larger and larger prints all the time. That's why we're showing the national debt. Which way do we think this is going? I do this as much for me as I do for you guys. This is why I stay sane, and I remind myself of what's actually happening and what's actually going on. It's very important to do that. So let me see again. The debt is all we need to know. That's the Bitcoin chart. I mean, that's the price of Bitcoin. There we go. $2,000 sats. Yep. It's easy. He was the first man through the door. He truly was, Laszlo. Laszlo was. He was truly the first man through the door. Yeah, these checks, they coming. And the different tax reform stuff they're doing, the liquidity injections are going to happen, the rates coming down, and people are bearish right now. Come on. You get this little dip to stack more sats for your cut bucks. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So again, remember, the macro doesn't matter. Get your stamp seed, put your seed in this so you don't lose it forever like a jabroni. Don't put it in paper. Put it in freaking titanium. Actual titanium. Put it in your wallet, or generate this seed from your wallet, from your hardware wallet. Takes a few minutes, guys. For those of you jabronis that haven't done it yet, do it. Do it. So you don't have to worry. And then that was Neil's book. Find modern chains. Again, you don't need the macro. This is simple stuff. It is very simple. The governments are based off of nothing. They have to go further into debt. Period. End of story. What does that mean? Get into the hardest assets possible. The hardest asset you can possibly find. The only one that's finite, equal to your finite time and energy. That is it. Go find that one. Custody it with your life. Yes, Dr. Gonzo. Yeah. The Treasury General account was starving. Market of liquidity due to a shutdown. Steady lads. Yeah. I haven't left the Oliver. Let's see here. I put your stuff up here. Sorry. I put it up. Thought it was up. I haven't felt the fear part of the fear of greed. So fear since 2022. It feels like we were talking about $10,000 Bitcoin, staring at $92,000 Bitcoin. Exactly. And that's why I think it's important to do stuff like this. It's important to go to conferences. It's important to do live streams. It's important to join together in some way, shape, local meetups, big conferences, little conference, whatever it is, because there's power in numbers, and you need people around you to help you, bring you up, and give perspective too. So that we, again, like, we're human, and you feel like you're going crazy at times, right? So it's important to remember that the sky's not falling. The sun's going to get up tomorrow. Things are amazing. At the end of the day, you have a network that is immutable, that no one can steal from you, and no one can inflate from you. Think about that. That in of itself, the fiat price, again, is an indicator of what's going on. But just think, like, I was doing the math the other day. We were doing the math on one of the other lives of how many people are actually in Bitcoin, how many Bitcoiners there are, so to speak, in the sense that how many people truly get it. There's 20,000 people. Again, one of our sponsors, Brian DeMint, Mateo, unbelievable guys at Orange Pill app, which is now Club Orange, finding community. Community is the number one aspect of a survival situation. So that network is amazing. If you're going to a new city or looking for a local meetup, go to the link in the description, go find it. I think it should be in there, and go find people around you. But the point is, there's 20,000 Bitcoiners on that app right now, 20,000. And that's pretty hardcore, right? Like, if you're in a Bitcoin only networking app, social media app, that's pretty hardcore. So that right there, if you divide 20,000, or, I shouldn't say that, multiply it by 10, maybe. You think there's 2 million hardcore Bitcoiners in the entire world, or do we think there's a million, or maybe 500,000? I'm trying to think of what a fair number is. So there's 20,000 people on the Bitcoin Orange Pill app or Club Orange. I mean, is there five times that many, like, real hardcore Bitcoiners out there, like, that are on Bitcoin Twitter? They're running nodes, 100,000 people. Like, what do we think at the end of the day? So I'm trying to think here. So, like, if we did 100,000, we're just doing 100,000. 100,000 divided by 8 billion. So we're at 0.00001% adoption. It's like 5 zeros. So that just goes to show you. And I'm of the belief, as many of you know, that we need to get to 3% of the population, similar to the Revolutionary War in America. 3% picking up the proverbial musket and saying, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're done. We're done here. We got a ways to go, guys. So this is why the education is so important. This is why the community is so important. This is why helping people, not badgering them, but helping them at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, New Year's, the Valentine's Day, all these areas coming up. We can do this together. We can do this together. And but we have a ways to go. But point being with all this is we are very early. We are extremely early to what is happening here. So yeah, conviction makes this incredibly early, Doc. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But that's me, right? And it's I know there's some people here that are learning. They're just putting putting the reps in. They're getting their 1,000 hours in. Seriously, Foundation Passport is face roll. I got my parents to learn cold storage. Anyone can do it. Yeah, it's so easy. Maybe that's what you're meaning to say, Oliver. Passport is so incredibly easy. It takes minutes. And it's scary. I'll tell you guys a quick story. Again, 10 years ago, when I was real estate guy, raising money and doing all this stuff, gold and silver guy, the cold storage wallet scared me. And I didn't get in like 2015, 2016, or whatever it was, around there, or 2016, 2017. And I didn't get in around them because I was scared. I thought you needed a wallet. I thought, like, you need this wallet. I don't know what this thing is, and blah, 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 whatever. And I didn't get in until like 2017. And then I started, and then the run up happened. It was really 2018. So it was 2018. Yeah, because I got in right after the run up. And so I waited till it came down because I was an investor guy. And it was like, okay, well, buy low, sell high. I'll just wait till it comes back down again. And I waited till the bottom, basically. And later in 2018, I was just waiting, patiently waiting, patiently waiting. And I lost 2 years of gains. I think of like looking back then, I could have bought Bitcoin at, whatever, $500, a couple $100, whatever it is. And some of the similar stories you guys have of buying other stuff at the time or whatever it is. But it was because of a simple wallet. And again, things are a little bit easier now. The wallets are obviously a little bit easier to handle now to a degree, but they're much easier, much simpler, and into the products that are out there. But man, I just look back, like, don't make my mistake. Don't make the mistake I made with wallets and not getting a wallet. And it takes a couple minutes to figure this out, get it done. and then you have your generational wealth stored forever. It's sad. OG stacks. Yeah, I'm gonna get hammered on Thanksgiving. Does that mean you're gonna drink you hammered, or does that mean, or is your family just gonna pummel you with questions, or they're gonna be berating you, or both? Face roll, huh? I guess I'm trying to think. I was gaming. I guess I was like 13 or 14, and I was playing SOCOM on PlayStation 2. That was my first like online game, really online game, actually, in like 01, 02. I guess I'm like 15 or 14. So I don't remember face roll, but I might have missed it. I might have been a little bit too young for that, Oliver. So if price action has got you feeling down, just remember Harvard bought at 116. You are very right. Blunt man, what's up? Hello, Bitcoiners. Family ridicule, yeah, definitely gonna get that. But again, I know a fair amount of people, family and friends out. Who else knows family and friends that are buying right now, though? I know certain people that are in my sphere, we'll say, that are buying right now, and they are using that. They've been waiting for this dip, so they're starting to buy stuff like that, like I was, ironically, in 2017, 2018. So the irony of all of it, obviously, as a Bitcoiner, is you realize, you look back at how naive that is, because it's obviously the perfect savings, the perfect money, or the best money we've ever had. So you realize, it could just go up forever. The dollar could just implode overnight, right? And it could just be gone. It just runs and goes forever, like we said earlier. And then you all of a sudden left holding your fiat bag and no Bitcoin. So that's the irony of all of it. But again, we know there are price cycles. We know there are human cycles: fear and greed, fear and greed, fear and greed. So it's going to go up and down. But yeah, it could run. It could go to 200,000 by the end of the year. It could go to 1 million in the next year or two, or next year or whatever. Like, we don't know. It's a finite asset. It's completely finite. We've never dealt with this before, so none of us have any idea. There's a much better chance of it going to 1 million the next year than it going to zero, or going to $1,000 or $10,000 in the next year. So it's just something we've never dealt with. So family ridicule is definitely going to be up there for sure. Oliver, it's a keyboard thing. The idea being so easy, you could roll your face in the keyboard and still win. Yeah, that's wild. I've never heard of that. That is so wild. Huh. I guess I was on console, I guess, too. Played longbow. Speaking of Neil, I told him that I played longbow as a kid. That was my computer simulator back in the day. But I don't think they didn't have online play, though, in like the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So, but anyway, Modern Chains. Check that Apache Pilot's book out, all about Bitcoin. It's amazing. It just came out recently. So yeah, now is the best time to buy since April. Doc says we got to hold the 90K region for support. Yeah, we do. I mean, isn't that the beauty of Bitcoin, though, guys? Like, you literally have, you don't care. You care either way it goes, but you don't care either way it goes, right? Like, it goes up in price, and it's like, okay, like, great. Then you go down in price, and you're like, okay, great. isn't it truly amazing? I mean, you win either way. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. I have immutable money that no one can steal from me. And it goes down. Now I can stack cheaper sats, more sats for my cut box, or it goes up and you're like, okay, well, all right, I guess we can, have a bigger turkey at Thanksgiving this year, or you know, we can, touch more grass and I can get off the hamster wheel more, or whatever it is. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin. It really is. It is the paradox at the end of the day. Like we said earlier, though, too, Bitcoiners, it's wild to me. I was thinking, when do Bitcoiners start buying sports franchises? And then this is like, I was thinking this years ago. And at some point, there's enough Bitcoiners with enough wealth where they start buying sports franchises. And then I got thinking, just in the last year or two, of, you know what, where are the charitable stuff? Bitcoiners are going to start becoming the charitable people, truly charitable, not like Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm an altruist, look at me, my parents work in the government, here, write Forbes articles about me, but like actual altruism, like, hey, we're actually doing things because there's you think of the people that bought in the last 8 years of Bitcoin, that group is much bigger than the group of people that bought those other 8 years, right? The first 8 years, right? So the last 8 years, you have a way bigger subset of people. And so now, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when that group has tons of wealth, you're going to have all these different ventures that are created by Bitcoiners, freedom cities. They're going to be in positions of power, companies buying companies, acquiring companies, dismantling other parts of inefficient walks of life. It's going to be wild. Different charitable endeavors. That's going to be truly amazing. And I think that's what's coming. That you can see it a little bit here and there, obviously in different corners of Bitcoin, but it's going to be very fascinating, I think. And that's what I'm excited for, is to do stuff like that, is to really see that come about, and then partner with all of you on doing things like that, to give back, truly like an altruistic, voluntarism. Hey, we're giving back to this world, and we're doing it in the right way, because Bitcoin incentivizes or monetizes, I should say, fear and greed, unlike fiat, which is zero sum, and we all lose by participating in fiat. So, right, Star Wars Galaxy, it is a win-win. It truly is. So, hold or buy. That's it. That's the only thing you can do. If you've got more fiat, buy. If you don't, you hold, or do both. Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, you're right. And so you're right, Doc. And Bitcoin capital allocation will change the world. I think that's it. That's to me, it's the reframing of our mind. Here's the Bitcoin chart, the debt. This is the game. We know it's going to keep going up. The debt has to keep going up. So we know, therefore, the Bitcoin price keeps going up. We just keep eating all the other assets in the world. And then we know everything starts keep getting cheaper. Entities keep getting cheaper. Corporations get cheaper. Organizations keep getting cheaper. These keep getting cheaper, whatever it is, to run everything for Bitcoiners. So the capital allocation of Bitcoiners will be massive going forward. I think that's really what I'm most excited for, because right now I feel like we're in this weird middle ground. We're in this weird, like, purgatory almost, where there's not enough Bitcoiners with enough wealth yet. And you see a number of good things happening, but then you 10x, 100x the amount of people that are going to have that over the course of the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's going to be wild, the things that really start coming about. I could not be more excited about that, because that's what truly speaks. Because I think that, to me, this is where I guess my whole thesis comes into, like, the demographic shift. So I'm curious what you guys think, but that's where the demographic shift. It's not totally just because the boomers and the silent generation are going away or sunsetting, and their wealth coming down the younger generations. It's coupled also with the amount of Bitcoiners that are there, coupled with the amount of wealth they have. I feel like we'll be at an event horizon level where all of a sudden it's in society, can't ignore it. There are so many things happening because of Bitcoiners that, there'll still be people on social media or on TV or whatever it is, and, hey, this guy just bought the whatever, some sports team or whatever it is, bought the Golden State Warriors or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Detroit Red Wings, and he's a Bitcoiner, or it just says, like, chairman, like, he's a Bitcoiner. And again, I don't know if Bitcoiners are going to buy sports teams. I'm sure there will be some, but you name the thing, and it'll be something like that, where people are going to be like, Bitcoiner, or like, what, something like that. And it's going to be some weird things that come from that because of that. But the capital allocation is going to be wild. Sharper, What's good? What's good? Yeah, yeah. Don't we all wish we had more dry powder? That is very well said. Blunt man, when's the stimmy check coming? That'd be a nice free 2 million sats. Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. I mean, let's go. Under 200 or under 100K, boys and girls. Let's go. Get those stimmies rolling. Let's go. Speculative attack. Doc said so much Bitcoin wealth was seemingly spent on political campaigns, unnecessary evil, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there was a lot. And again, that's what's crazy. I mean, it's like you only get the answers to the test afterward, right? And the irony is, here a year later after Trump gets elected and it's lower than I guess it's not lower than when he got elected, but it's lower than when he got inaugurated. So that is slight irony, but again, you only get the answer to the test afterward. And again, at the end of the day, again, Bitcoin, you win either way. Either Trump won and we seemingly have people off our back a little bit so we can grow, things can happen unencumbered a little bit, we'll say. I'm sure look at the tornado cash guys, right? I mean, there's things going on that aren't good. Seemingly, unless I'm missing any big things, seemingly the Bitcoin space is able to grow a bit, fairly unencumbered, unlike 2 years ago, 3 years, 4 years ago, where there's, choke point, all kinds of things going on where it at least got that off our back. But at the same time, if you have a Trudeau trucker situation, or if you had the last administration, guess what? I mean, things might go underground and, there are going to be some bad things that happen, but a lot of times you have adoption speed up, because bad things are happening. So, I mean, it's like, again, as in Bitcoin continually wins because both things monetize it. Hey, people can build unencumbered and we can educate freely, or bad things are happening. And I mean, you look at Ukraine, what was going on there, and the stories of people running to other countries with their 12 words, their 24 words on their seed plate or in their head. I don't know how many people had seed plates are running around, but they had their 12 or 24 words in their head. I mean, just that alone should orange pill 100 million people in the world. We'll get there. Hopefully we don't have to do too many more bad events in order to orange pill people. It's just good events, but we shall see. Random question. What's your favorite fiction book? My favorite fiction book? Oh man, it's probably like an old classic, like Call of the Wild, or something like that, like a Jack London. My dad made me read all those as a kid. Call of the Wild, Robinson Crusoe, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Lord of the Rings, all those books. We had to read them in school a little bit, some of them, but my dad made me read all of those as a kid. And those are classics. Lord of the Flies. I mean, I will say I talk about Lord of the Flies probably more than anything between all the podcasts, live streaming, all the ridiculous hours I talk to my wife and annoy her, talk to friends, family, whoever about Bitcoin over the last 10 years. Lord of the Flies is the thing I probably bring up the most, to be totally honest. I don't know if those are exactly the type of answers you're looking for, fiction books, but my brain, I always just think of like fundamental, first principle type of like thinking, that type of thing. So I'm not like a massive fiction reader, if that makes sense, like sci-fi world. It's like a lot of like the classic type stuff if I'm fiction. So it's I just tons of nonfiction the last 10, 15 years, tons and tons of nonfiction, just reading about Bitcoin, reading about monetary history, just things of that nature. It's just tends to be the way my brain works more. I'm sure as I get older, I'll do a little bit more fiction reading. So we ride the SEC. Oh man, we live in a clown world. Net positive, absolutely. Sharper said, nice, good, yeah. Amazing stuff, guys. Yeah, you guys made it a fun chat today. It's the beginning. I don't know what it is. For some reason on Mondays, I'm always like, hey, I want to do at 3 or 4 o'clock. Does anyone do? I feel like there's not really any Bitcoin shows at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time. I know the Simply Boys, Opti and Nico are like 12 to 1:30. And I feel like 3 to 5 is usually like a good time. I feel like people are screwing around if they're at work or if they're working at home, or if they're at home or they're driving home. I feel like that's a good time. I know Jack does this time right now, 6 on Mondays, but for whatever reason, the last couple of weeks, I've just haven't got my work done. The pods, all the things I'm working on in the background. And I always like, dang it, at 6 o'clock, Jack's doing his thing right now, and I'm freaking doing the same time. So I'm going to try to do like 3, 4, or 5 o'clock or something like that in the future. Having a literature live stream would be fun. And Atlas Shrugged. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. For some reason, I was thinking of just younger stuff. I don't know why, just because I read so much of it, I think when I was younger. So I just immediately went back to that. And I haven't read Atlas Shrugged in years. Anthem. I don't know if I ever finished Anthem, but Atlas Shrugged. Yeah, I mean, it's been years. I got to go back and read that actually. So great stuff. I will say one of my favorite quotes. I mean, one of the best quotes, which I kind of paraphrase to a degree, I believe, but is Ayn Rand's quote, which I talk about Lord of the Flies a ton, and then Ayn Rand's quote of you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of reality. I say that probably more than anything else. Those are probably, that book and that quote are probably two of the things that I repeat and talk about the most when I'm talking to people. So I'm always on for virtual hangouts with fellow Bitcoiners. Got to run. Yeah. See you, Doc. Appreciate you. And yeah, like I said, we'll try to do like 3 to 6, 3 to 5, stuff like that in the future, 4 to 5, some shorter shows. We'll see. The long shows are fun. People will jump on. I mean, I'm down for doing some longer shows for here and there. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of pages are those. Atlas Shrugged. Yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. I'm sure my wife yelled at me. I had Do Not Disturb on. I got to see if she yelled at me. I was literally supposed to go for like 15 minutes, and we've gone for 2 hours. So, oh yeah, she did. She said, "What are you thinking?" I knew it wasn't going to be 15 minutes. Sorry. Duty calls. Just can't stop talking about this stuff. It's a calling deep inside, just like all of us here. The 20, 30, 40 people here, or whatever it is. And I'm going to get on Rumble, by the way, as well. Rumble, Twitter. We're going to stream to a bunch of other platforms. And I'm fixing the quality as well. So I'm working on the quality. Rumble, Twitter, we're going to add platforms, quality, all that. Working on all that, guys. So just me. It's just me handling the back end. The podcast, I got a team helping me with stuff like that. For the live streams, it's mainly just me right now, but we're working on all that. We're going to fix all that. So yeah, I'm going to blame you guys. I'm going to blame you, Sharper. I'm blaming you, Doc, Oliver, Bluntman. I'm blaming everybody. OG Stacks. I'm blaming absolutely everybody. Oh man. But cool, guys. I appreciate you. I'll cut it out here so we don't go exactly 2 hours. Appreciate you guys a ton. We will be back hopefully Wednesday and then Friday again. Probably try to do like a 3 to 5, 4 to 5, something like that on Friday. So check the podcast out. Link in the description below for the sponsors, Bitcoin only sponsors, only Bitcoin sponsors. And thank you for helping the circular economy. Thank you for helping us and our business and what we're doing here. And really appreciate it. And then there's something else too. Oh, and the podcast, John Haar tomorrow. It's going to be a really, really fun one. And then we have, don't hold me to this, but it's either Peter Dunworth the Friday or Saturday is me dropping, or it might be Kent Halliburton, Saz Mining. So I got to check my editor, what we decided there. So appreciate you guys a ton. We'll see you guys soon. Sharper, Oliver, everybody. We'll see you soon. Stay on that bright orange.